wool combs there.
Yes.
You use those for other fibers or just for wool?
I mostly use them for wool, but they do work with flax.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my name is Isaac Koblenz. I've been doing fiber arts most of my life. When I was a small child, I carded wool for my mom. She mostly worked with the protein fibers, and primarily wool.
You don't have to convince me.
When I was a teenager, I learned how to weave baskets, and that was sort of my my secondary kind of launch into weaving. Or then when I was in college, I learned how to make paper with plant fibers. These are actually blue jeans that I use to make paper. But it's, I don't know, fiber arts are, I don't know, they've been something I've engaged in my whole life, and something that brings me a lot of joy. And I think part of it's humans have been working with fibers since as far back as it goes, and they are one of the most important economic kind of. I don't really like the word commodity, but one of our companions that we've grown up with on the earth. Fibers are vital to our existence. And most of our ancestors, it looks like, probably were European, and would have been working with flax and hemp over in Europe. Also stinging nettle. These are some nettle stalks they don't really give you a good idea of the height. They were broken in half so I could read them, but nettle, flax, and hemp are really kind of the primary northern climate fibers that Europeans have been working with. And fibers like cotton and jute and manila hemp, which is a banana type fiber, those all kind of came into the picture during globalization, during the imperial colonialism era. And part of the reason, one of the reasons hemp was kind of pushed to the side was there were these other fibers that were kind of introduced into the global economy, like the manila hemp. It made a superior marine rope, I guess. It's saltwater resistant. But they could also exploit labor in the colonies where they were growing it instead of doing it domestically. And so those are some of the, like, hemp really kind of went by the wayside. Probably around the 1850s is when those other commodities were really kind of coming in and displacing it. But it was produced for many years because of its strength. So they still needed it for baling cotton because of the strength of it. It did get produced in the United States probably. Well, 1937, when the Marijuana Tax Act was passed, is kind of the end of cannabis production in this country. They did bring it back for a few years during the war because the supply of manila hemp from the Philippines was cut off, and they needed fiber for the paratroopers and all kinds of bootlaces, all kinds of stuff. And the flax itself, flax was also kind of, I guess, phased out largely because of synthetic fibers, like the plastic fibers that so much is made of today. But these are coming. People are interested in these traditional plant fibers that our ancestors all worked with, and all of us have ancestors that were fiber artists. Because it was just a part of daily life. So it is, something that's really accessible to all of us. It is a wonderful way to spend your time. Or spend your time. Engaging the plants. And so flax, again, like flax was, the biggest flax production was, I think, largely in, well, they still do it in Egypt. They were doing it in Ireland probably up until the 40s and 50s. And then the synthetic fibers started kind of pushed out the natural fibers. And it's all, I don't know, it's hard to talk about hemp and flax as a viable industry in the global economy, because that's all transforming as we speak. You know, we're all very well aware. And it's not really, you know, we've learned it's not really viable to ship things all over the globe. It's not. It takes too much energy. We really need to bring back these industries to our communities, and that is one of the things I'm interested in. I'm primarily interested in from a homesteading, personal perspective, but I am also interested in building kind of cottage industries and also maybe more large-scale things. But the large-scale stuff is really not my wheelhouse. But I see a need for it. And larger scale production is, you can do it more cheaply. But there is a great value in I guess engaging with fibers and just sort of revisiting the kind of labor that our ancestors engaged in, because it really, I don't know, it's a very fulfilling feeling to grow crops. So this is some flax that I grew here in Southeast Ohio. That's not the most ideal flax to demo with. Yeah, so I grew this flax from seed, and it's amazing to be able to watch the plants grow and just go through all the processes of getting it to this point. So what I have here is retted flax. And retting is a process of preparing the fibers. You're basically it's similar to fermentation or making sauerkraut, but you're basically rotting the connective tissue that holds the woody bits to the fiber, and it makes it much easier to process the stalks. I'm just going to go through the steps of processing the flax into, and I'll end with getting it to spinning it on the drop spindle. But yeah, so the first step after you've retted it is, well, then you need to dry it down so the stalks are kind of crispy and will break easily for this next step that I'm going to demonstrate. In the past, there would have been a tool called a brake. That's basically a board that would come down and crush the stalks. This is what I'm using as a brake today. It's a machine that a friend of mine in Northeast Ohio built for me to process dogbane, but it works really well for flax and hemp as well. And what it's doing is it's cracking the inner woody hurd or shive. And making the next step, which is called scutching, where you're removing the shives, makes it much easier. They're all cracked and they fall away really easily. And so yeah, it went from that to that. And these are very labor-intensive processes. There are more modern machines and ways of getting from there to there, but there are much more modern ways of working with flax. But yeah, these tools that I'm using these are both contemporary, but also modeled after the tools used in the pre-industrial era. And so what I'm doing now is called hackling. And hackling separated the long line fibers from the shorter toe fibers. The long fibers were used to spin warp threads for weaving. The shorter tow fibers were used for absorbing cloth, but none of it was wasted. And then the shives, they could have been used for animal bedding. They could be composted nowadays. They're used in natural building, hempcrete. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with the fiber and the inner woody core. That it's hard to kind of discern. This is kind of the stuff that I'm talking about. These are the herds, this woody bit. And that's used a lot nowadays if you've ever heard of hempcrete. You guys can pass that around and snap it so you can just have a feel for. It is like cob. Okay. Yeah, you could pass.
It's used for what now?
Hempcrete.
Which is what?
It is a natural building material with a combination of the cellulose material and lime. So a lime cement holding the woody bits together, and it makes a fireproof or fire-resistant, soundproof wall that is really it's a really great material. The biggest hurdle is we don't have a hemp industry that can provide the raw material, the herds, because it takes a lot of herd, and it would take hundreds of acres to build it, thousands of acres. But it is it's a thing that can be done with the herds. And they're also making hemp wood and like flooring out of hemp, where they're using soy glues and the herds, and I think they might use some fiber in the process as well, and then kind of compressing that into tongue and groove planks. But yeah, so that was the basic steps of processing the flax stalks down into this fiber now the fiber is pretty much ready. I'm going to clean this up a little bit.
So the short fibers you use in what?
Oh, you would use them in more of a coarse cloth for if you wanted for absorbent, for like towels or sackcloth.
You're still spinning them into yarn like that, yeah?
Mm-hmm. The long fibers are, and they're a better material for. The short fibers are the ideal, and those, like, you want the fibers to be around 2 inches, I do believe, but Matt next door is very experienced, and he uses hemp fibers. So what I'm doing here, I'm using a drop spindle to spin the fibers into a thread. And this is the tool that preceded the spinning wheel. So this would have been, they still use it all over the planet, but I think the spinning wheel probably came around in the 1450s or 1800s.
Yeah, elementary, middle school, high school, all
Yeah, so this, no, probably.
Yeah, we're gonna do a demo.
Then this would be used for, generally they would weave linen. They didn't really do knitting with linen. They would use wool for knitting. All of that is just the way So, This is called a Turkish style drop spindle, and it's 3 parts. That one's actually 5 parts because the arms are all their own. That was a 3D printed model, and it's a great drop spindle. But it's one of my favorite styles of drop spindle. I'm gonna pass it around. And that's if you want to learn how to spin, it's a great tool to start with. It's very accessible compared to a spinning wheel, which is usually several $100s to enter into that market. It's called a drop spindle.
If anybody has a white Ford with white West Virginia plates, could you check in with me? And also, if anyone's parked in this parking lot right here, we're trying to reserve that parking lot just for people that need the accessibility and people that are using the thrift store. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
So how much do you put on the drop spindle before you put it out?
Yeah, she's told me about that.
Together, so I guess you're trying to get a bigger ball. So how long are you, no, I didn't vary or?
It varies. This is probably a good size ball, but then so you weave a single, and then oftentimes you'll ply that to make a double ply strand.
Is that the drop spindle process again, or how do you?
Yeah, you can ply with the drop spindle, and that is one of the reasons that I prefer the Turkish spindle, is it produces what's called a center pull ball. So you have a thread on the outside, and then somewhere there's a thread on the inside. There it is. So you have one that's coming from the center, one that's outside. Figure out which direction So when you ply, you're spinning the opposite direction that the fibers were spun. So this is called plying, where I'm taking 2 strands and joining them together, and that just gives you a stronger thread. And this is how the ancestors would have done it. All this is done by machines nowadays, but back in the day, it was all done by hand, one string at a time. And then to wind it onto the Turkish spindle, you go over 2 arms and under 1. And that's what creates the center pull ball that makes it easier to do this double ply. And so the twist of the spindle is kind of, the energy is kind of coming together, holding these 2 together. And it's basically what the spindle does, is it stores energy in the fibers. And then this, the tool like this, which is called a fixed heddle, it's a very simple weaving for weaving bands like this. And so a tool like that would be used for you would warp it with threads that go lengthwise, and then you would whatever you were using for weft, the back and forth threads, you could choose whatever. And I've been working with a group of folks here in Southeast Ohio trying to build a chapter of the Fiber Shed, trying to build Southeast Ohio Fiber Shed up. And Lisa Hines is probably one of the main vocalizers with that, and Sasha Sigetic, and there's a woman in Bookville doing some really cool stuff. The Garment Center is another person working with it. But so there's a community trying to build up the Fiber Shed down here, but there's also a really great organization in Northeast Ohio called the Rust Belt Fiber Shed that they have some really great. One of the ways I learned how to grow flax was through their flax project, that they provide seed and kind of the basic knowledge. But they have a really great website with really wonderful resources that even we can make use of down here. And we're considered part of the Fiber Shed because we're within 200 miles. So I've done a lot of work with those folks, and they're one of the things that really has inspired me to, I don't know, do what I'm doing. But I also have a number of different plant fibers that they're just kind of interesting, that I think folks could benefit from knowing about. These are yucca fibers, very strong, and I love this plant to have around the garden for twist tie, for tying up vines or any kind of utilitarian. But yeah, it's a great. I usually cut the leaf, or if there's some yellowed ones from the previous year, I'll pull those and kind of split it down into thinner pieces. And then it's so strong. Like I could probably break it, but yeah, they're very strong. So yeah, it's very good for making cordage. Iris is great for cordage.
Iris? Siberian Jack.
And it makes a nice soft. I wonder. I can't remember what these are. And I wonder if they're iris or if they're daylily, but they're really cool. It's a very soft fiber, whatever it is.
Oh, so is that the flower stem?
It's a stalk. Yeah.
I use
Okay. Oh yeah, the leaves make wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, you can feel the fibers in that plant. I love fibers. Yeah. Does anybody have questions? This is a.
Do you ever work with sticky metal?
I do. I'm not.
But that's a thing.
With metal. There's a stock that I recently. I tried redding them.
You just put it in water?
Yeah.
Okay.
I submerge it underwater, usually with rocks.
Okay.
And I'll bundle the fibers so they're easier to keep contained.
So has this been redded?
Depending on the temperature, like the ambient temperature of the water and the air, like retting will happen much more quickly in warm weather and much more slowly in cold weather. So it's important to kind of monitor. But usually 4 days in the summertime is a good ret.
Okay.
Why I'm not.
You just test it every day to see.
Well, to really test it well, you have to dry. You have to take it out of the pit and dry it to see. But you can also kind of get start to get a feel for. It's just one of those things like muscle memory that you learn with experience. But retting intimidated me for years. For some reason, I don't know why. It just seemed really difficult. And I guess when I started working with the hemp and the flax, it's not that hard at all. It's very easy. So, yeah, if there are any parts of the processing that you find challenging or seem like too much, just maybe go for it, because it's like once you do it, you'll figure it out. I've noticed they break in this. That's the metal.
Yeah. Kind of difficult to get.
And this is canaf fiber. This is another hibiscus.
I think it's stinging.
It is. Corn husks were also used they could be used in making sandals or in baskets. This I think probably has a core of daylily or iris with rush, some kind of rush. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a water plant. I don't know what the seeds look like. So if you have any wetlands, this is a good basket. It's not necessarily great for portage, but
Industry that would be.
but splitting it and using the sort of flat for baskets. That is, I think it's a kind of juncus, maybe. Reed, rush, common rush, I think.
Rushes around.
Yes.
Such as some edges, most of the time,
Yes.
but not always. Such as some edges.
As everything goes, right? Except when it.
I can't remember. But these are they're like daylily-like plant, but they're can't remember the name of it. Do you recognize?
Well, at least it seems
I think it starts with an S. Yeah.
working on this grant.
Try to grow it as not an iris, but the bloom is just like a little seed pod.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's something forgetting the second row.
Not good at writing
The water loving plant. I like philodendron. This is a water plant.
I think so. I can't remember.
It's gladiolus.
Right. Right. It really is.
I couldn't rip up the fibers to put it in my compost pile even, you know, they couldn't break them. They were a year or two dead.
What about like the summer weed plants like Joe Pye and stuff like that? You ever work with anything like that?
I have not.
It seems like those stalks are really tough.
They're very tough, but it really it's a fiber in it's the inner bark where those fibers usually are, where the bast fibers are. Like this is a kind of a special fiber that you get from cattails that I was using to weave this basket, and it's like sort of the wings at the base of a cattail you peel those fibers off and get these, and they're really soft and nice for soft baskets. But I did. It was all much more damp. And like, these are projects I started many years ago. Yeah. Any other questions? Do you guys know how to make finger cordage? Because that was something I was going to demonstrate if anybody did not.
Yeah. I've only just done it like twisting in my fingers, but I've seen people like roll it across their leg,
That's yeah.
like sort of an advanced technique. Is it kind of achieving the same thing as a spindle?
It sort of is, because if you can imagine, both legs of the are supposed to spin, and so it's hard to really see what's happening. But so I'm putting twist into the fiber, and it's.
I don't know if you like that stuff.
Traditional cordage, or an easier way of doing it with the fingers, or what I usually teach, is you twist away and then bring it forward and pinch. Twist away from you, forward and pinch.
Do you work with paper mulberry as well?
A little bit.
Yeah. I have one of those growing in my house. It's amazing. It does all kinds of stuff.
I have some elm bark, but I don't know if I made it. The elm bark is really kind of, it reminds me of mulberry. I don't think I have it.
So is flax primarily what you grow?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
How much do you grow to like work with a stock that you're happy with?
Probably not very much at all.
No. And that,
I mean, I've been learning how to do it, and so it is. The first year I had a nice sized plot, about the size of the Cynthia.
okay.
I had a better crop last year than I did this year.
So when do you harvest it? Harvest it after it's fallen?
Yeah, generally. It's sort of like midway through its, I think a third of the, like when the stalks start to yellow, a third of the way, like when 2/3 is green and 1/3 is starting to yellow, I think it's kind of the general, but it's also a big pulling and testing. And there's also variables about with your soil and the water, like if you're getting consistent water, how well the fiber is going to.
What's their life cycle like in this? Like, because I know like a cattail takes like all through the summer to develop into something that you would then harvest and go through like threading.
So I probably planted my first flax crop around mid-March, early April of 2024. And I probably had it all harvested by mid-July.
Nice.
Like it was all done. And I may have left some that went through August, or like these stalks here. These were grown out for seed, and you can see they're pretty thick. And the fibers inside are pretty coarse, where this is more of an ideal size for the flax straw. Yeah, those I allowed to fully mature a seed crop. The fiber is much coarser. Yeah, it does. It has more of the woody herds. Herd? is what they call it in hemp. They call it shives. Shives is one of the words. Shive. Shives. So you could definitely a coarser.
Curious, I want to tie together like planting with like projects. You know, like what gives you quantity of material. You're like say enough material for a project like a shirt or something like that. You know, like do you like what kind of projects do you work on?
I'm more choose something that's accessible like a belt.
About
But like making a shirt is probably a several-year commitment.
okay.
Because you have to think that a lot of this they were done in community, and it was sort of a division of labor. It wasn't necessarily all done by the same person.
Yeah.
So I think it's totally worth having a project like that. But it's also something it's different context than what the ancestors were doing because they had the experience. It was just part of their life. But it was a bigger division of labor, or it was also very seasonal too. Like you would harvest the flax and then probably ret it and then dry it down and put it in the barn until things had slowed down to where you could start the processing. And then the weaving, I think, would happen a lot in the winter, in the downtime. So it's there's all kinds of wonderful things about fiber.
So it kind of doesn't matter how much you grow.
Yeah.
If you're doing the process and just kind of hanging out. Yeah.
Right. I feel like if you want to experience it, just grow what you can, or you
Yeah.
can
Whatever fits.
grow a small planter full just to experiment with. But yeah, it's yeah. I don't know if anybody wants fibers to take with them or to play with, but you're welcome if you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can have that bundle. And yeah, anybody that wants samples.
Well, I'm excited to start working with our flax now.
Yeah.
Like this makes it kind of like I don't know, it gets over the hump of like,
For sure.
how are we gonna get that started? 'Cause
It is
we've done
very
sitting there for a
challenging,
while.
and I think the water retting it's slightly psychologically challenging to find whatever you're going to be able to do it in. But like if you have a trough for feeding that's not being used, maybe that would work well. And yeah, you just
I've got a question about that then. So do you need to have a container that's long enough that the fibers are straight and long, or can
It's-
you kind of
it's ideal, but you can bend them. Like I will, like if these are broken because I broke them to fit them into a 5-gallon bucket.
right?
Because I don't have a feeding trough. But I do have a pit, but we also have a cistern, and with water, and so.
We have a fair amount. Like we grew, I don't know, is it 25 foot bed or something? 30 foot bed?
Awesome.
So we have like a pretty good pile of them. And we've got tubs, we get some bigger tubs, but they're not necessarily quite long enough.
Well, yeah, and you could trim it, or kind of the ends are much more flexible than the body of the stalks. So you could probably find a way to make it work, or just cut them so they'll fit. And it's like I did dig a physical pit into the clay, and that's what I do most of my retting in. But again, it's like if you have a water shortage, it's complicated, or it's challenging that way.
So just right into the ground,
Yeah,
and then it loses water.
it does, but it's kind of in a clay layer, so it will hold water for a few days. But it is.
Can you remember the second word? It's sweet flag.
Yes, sweet
Yeah.
flag.
And this is your project?
Yep. Hello.
I missed the demonstration.
Oh, I could demo. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So, I'm mostly working with flax. I do have a little bit of hemp. I have all kinds of different plant fibers, but these are hemp stalks, and these are flax stalks.
And the two grow good together, right?
Well, I've never actually grown, and they grow well in our climate. I've never grown my own hemp because it's a permitting. There's a lot of permitting and hoops you have to jump through to do it legally in Ohio. So growing hemp is an expensive endeavor, especially it's complicated. But flax is very easy to grow, grows well in our climate, and they both grow well in our climate. But yeah, I have more experience growing the flax. So what I'm doing here, but I guess I should so the flax stalks, once they've been harvested and dried down, they go through a process called retting, where there are a few different ways of doing that. There's dew retting, where they put it on the surface, and there's water retting, where you submerge the stalks under the water for usually 4 to 5 days, depending on the ambient temperatures outside. So once you have it retted, then you have to dry it down again, so all the woody bits are crispy like that. And then, so what I did by putting it through this machine, that would be the breaking of the flax, or breaking the hemp. And then here I'm scutching, which is kind of scraping the woody shives or the herds off of the fiber. And then I'm going to put some more through because that's not very much to hackle. So this is a very contemporary machine that a friend of mine built.
I was looking at it, I'm like, dang, do I need all this equipment if I want to do it?
Well, so you need a brake, and they are. That's a picture of a brake there. These are actually.
I've seen that before. Yeah,
these are. And the Cannabis Museum has some brakes.
That's
like
where
that.
I saw it.
And I don't know if Matt wants to borrow these or not, but he might end up building some of these tools. But they're pretty simple and not inaccessible.
Yeah.
And so this is a piece of bamboo that I use for my scutching knife.
Shook it. It's crazy how it's like already looking like fiber kind of.
Oh yeah.
It's like instantaneous.
I think this is pretty clear.
Yeah.
That makes it a little bit more simple, doesn't it?
Much more so. I love the combination of. It's like new and old. It's very.
Yeah, it looks very.
Yeah. It was built by a blacksmith.
Well, it kind of looks like what you found in the.
Yeah, that was hand forged. The handle there.
That's crazy.
So this is called hackling.
And that comb is called a hackle?
It is. And this is a more contemporary hackle and really designed for wool, long wool processing. Like a 4-inch staple wool. And the hackles over there are more bast fiber hackles. Right. And I mean, they weren't able to mass produce. Well, those were actually probably the tines in those probably were factories. But yeah, it's the technology. But those do, I think, I don't know, they probably are more efficient when you're processing a lot of fiber. But, you know, that's...
Well, it may be, especially like more than 2 rows.
Can I try?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like a little kid. I'm like, I can't. You do it delicately, kind of. It looks like.
Just like box it over and fold it
It
through.
really, it also depends on how much you have and...
Range of motion?
Yeah, but it is very advisable to establish your reach before you go
Yeah.
at it. Because
I got a little bit of a knot. I think that's.
it's very painful to hackle your hand. Experience.
I bet, yeah, if you're like just kind of doing it, yeah, I would stab myself.
So do you do it until you see that no other real short fibers are coming out?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah,
So you get the hang of it. It looks like it's pulling anymore.
right.
Cone.
It does. It probably gets to a particular texture, and most of my learning has kind of been in isolation without a mentor. So who knows?
Hi everyone, I hope you guys are having a great day. We're happy that you're here. I wanted to let you know in the next couple minutes, in about 5 minutes, Amelia Adams is going to be doing a presentation on the genealogy of Rome Township, or how to use the Rome Township census for doing research on genealogy. That is going to be in the auditorium, so you can take these steps here if you're comfortable doing